In this video, we're going to talk about print awareness concept number 5, which if you look at your handout is identifying the first letter in your name. And for children, the first letter in their name tends to be the first letter that they learn because it's something personal. And as we know with children, to them, life revolves around them, right? So because it's something personal to them, it's more meaningful. A lot of children will equate the first letter of their name as belonging to just them. So we want to make them understand and show them that there's other words that begin with the same letter. So if you look at what it means, it says, as children are learning letters, they typically learn the first letter of their first name. They are introduced to this letter in the uppercase format. So we can help use a book or literacy to help build off of this concept and get them to understand that there's other words that begin with the same letter. So they don't own, the letter B because their name's Brittany. There's other words that begin with the letter B. So what we want to do is, it's important because it belongs to them, but it's important, again, like I said, to understand the concept of there are several words that begin with that same letter. So they don't own it. Their name, yes, begins with it, but there's other words, or other names even, that begin with the same letter. So that's a really important skill for children to understand. And because we learn letters in uppercase first, when we use a book, when we use literacy, we're going to look for words that begin with the letter, that we're focusing on with the child. We're going to do B for an example, for Brittany. But you want to look for the words in text that begin with uppercase, because that's something that they can associate it with. Because when we write our name, we begin writing with uppercase letters. If you're doing this with older children, like kindergarten and older, you could look for other words. But really, by kindergarten, this is a skill that they should already know, because they're already learning to read and write other words. So we're going to use the book, The Mitten, and I know it's not the big book. I love this book. I just love Jan Brett. I know that we've talked about her in other senses. And I wish I actually had this book in a big book. But what I would do, and this is going to be hard because it's a small book in a small little space, but I would have the book out like this with children, and I would be tracking which is a skill that we had talked about in the other videos, and I would tell the children, we're going to look for the letter B, for Brittany. Brittany's in our class, so we're going to look for B, and I would have a card that maybe had a big B on it or something like that, or hold up maybe, or point out if you have the alphabet strip in the room, or if you have your board, just have a big B in there so they can see it too, so they know what they're looking for. So they're hearing the B sound, but they also see what they're going to be looking for. So we're going to read this book and we're going to look for B's just like Brittany. And again, you're going to try to focus on uppercase B's. At first, his grandmother, Baba, and pause and see if the children notice. And you'll be surprised of how many of them are like, B, just like Brittany, B, Baba. You're right, Baba starts with B, just like Brittany. Did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nikki wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. So, but starts with an uppercase B, and Baba. So we found 2 other words that start with the letter B besides Brittany. But and Baba. And you might get some ha about the word but, because they're going to associate it with the body part. And that's when you just explain to children that it's not the body part, it's not even spelled the same way, and try to bring it back to it starts with the letter B. So, ba. So that's one way that you can use the mitten to help identify the first letter in children's name. So maybe you're doing, I don't know, think about the children in your class that it's T. Then this is when the pre-planning goes, that you know that you're picking a page that has more of those in there, and again, in uppercase forms.